I have wrestled with this business of what does it mean to be a follower of Jesus. And back in the day, his day, people who followed him weren't called Christians. They weren't even called Christ followers. They were called the Way, or people of the Way. And when you think about what does that mean, it means that they were people who lived a certain way. And it isn't so much about people who believed a certain way. In fact, Jesus says surprisingly little in the Gospels about what people ought or ought not to believe. Instead, he's exemplifying a way of living, how he treats people, whether they're hungry people or outcast people or strangers, and the way that he treated people, the way he calls us to treat people. That's something that I think we can get our hands around and our arms around in a loving way. I want to be able to embrace a lot of different ways of understanding who God is, because I've realized that mine, no matter who I might be, is always going to be insufficient. It's always going to be a sliver or a piece of this huge mystery. And so I think it's really exciting when you let go of a notion of God that's sort of fixed or stagnant or wrapped up in a particular ideology or set of principles. Suddenly realize that God is constantly going to surprise you and that there's going to be more to God, not less. And so your faith can actually get bigger when you recognize that ultimately all theology is really words, and words are always limiting. We're not going to have it all figured out. We're not going to have a theological system. We're not going to have a litmus test of beliefs that you've got to bow down to when you walk into one of our gatherings. In fact, we're going to recognize that we don't all believe the same thing, even when we think we do. So we're more trying to come together around a way of being, a way of living and treating other people. Ultimately, I think we all know that life is extremely hollow and the spiritual life is dried up and dead if it's something that we use in a selfish way. That ultimately faith, whatever kind of faith you have, is only going to be valuable if it's turned out. And I've experienced enough in my own life. I've experienced times where I haven't been plugged in to a spiritual community, and what I've noticed is that one of the first things that goes in my life when I'm functioning as a solo spiritual person is doing things for other people. The more I'm tied into a group of people that are involved in that, the more I'm going to do that. And so I think there's a momentum that's gained by connecting yourself to a spiritual community that understands that we're here for others. What good is a faith community if it can't be the place that you get the most support, the most acceptance, the most love as you go through those things? So I think what I'm certainly trying to do is set the tone of being very upfront and very honest about the struggles that I go through, and to recognize that I want to be able to bring those to my community. And if we, in the Living Vision community, if we can't accept people wherever they are in whatever state they come to us, then I would say we don't really deserve to exist. When you think about it, there aren't a lot of good options for people who want spiritual community in their lives and in their family but aren't comfortable with a church. And that's kind of where I come in, and what I've been doing is to try and give people an option for a way of connecting spiritually with other people when they aren't necessarily wedded or excited about the institution. I think what's important for me right now is to know that I'm not alone. The blog is livingvisionexperiment.blogspot.com. And that's an interactive place where I share a bunch of my thoughts. There's everything on there from things we've talked about at meetings to other spiritual musings and ramblings. And of course, that's interactive, and I encourage people to enter the conversation of Living Vision by commenting on the blog. And then some of the other spiritual endeavors I'm involved in, you can access at booksandbridges.com. That's a site where I sell my books, this book and my previous book, The Gospel According to Rock. And you can also learn about some of the stuff I'm doing at progressiveretreats.org. And in all those cases, there are ways for you to interact, to get involved, to find out more about what we're doing and where we are, and see if you want to take the leap with us.